Buenas tardes. Salutations. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you feel blessed. Let's get to it. Today I'm going to clout chase a tiny bit on Netflix's number one trending show. My Worst Roommate, I think it's called. Um, there's a episode on there about Dorotea Puente, who is a notorious serial killer from Sacramento. Um, so I'll start with saying that one day I had gone to a public meeting and, criticized the government for my belief that they were telling black and brown communities half truths and excluding the most vulnerable communities, the most marginalized, from these processes by not reaching out to them, by not providing materials in their language, etc. And they do provide them in the language, but just on the outreach, basically, and not having meetings where people who maybe don't have transportation could access them. And so, I paid a price for that. And the day that I did, I became kind of heartbroken and disillusioned a little bit with the world, and I went to look for something else to do. And my friend had said, "Hey, my other friend is a director, and she's looking to fill this role. Would you mind auditioning?" And I said, I was heartbroken. They caught me at the right time, so I said, "Yeah, I'll go do it. Fuck it." And I've never been to a play in my whole life. I've never, we grew up in the projects. That's not what I was exposed to. But even then, my mom, sisters, my little brother, they went to see the Nutcracker. The housing projects we lived in would provide that opportunity, but I never went. And so I've never seen a play, and here I am acting in one now, or performing in one now. And so I made a lot of mistakes around not looking away from the audience. I would look to the person. And so there's these rules, and I was trying to focus on that. But right away, I started seeing that the character I played, Alvaro Bert Montoya, may he rest in peace, reminded me through the lens of metaphors of the marginalized people that I had gotten in trouble for speaking up for. And I saw a little bit of myself and in the character, his caseworker. Um, the way it went in the play was that, and you can watch again the documentary on Netflix. It's My Worst Roommate, the Dorotea Puente episode. It's the first one of the season. And so, I'm playing this guy. He's mentally ill. He's schizophrenic. My goal with playing him, because I had felt so hurt, like deeply by what had happened, to not cause any harm. And so all I wanted to really do was bring dignity to a character whose central to his identity is mental illness. And I know a lot of people that suffer from mental illnesses. I've been around them, and I suffer from mental illness. Depression hits me really hard, as do mania sometimes. So that was my role. And so, eventually we rehearsed for about 2 months, and much love to the art community. A lot of us were not getting paid for it. And to see these folks give 40, 50 hours of their lives every week to produce something that other people can enjoy, is truly beautiful. I gained a huge respect for the theater community. And so this play, it they had to add dates because it kept selling out. And there's a thing for theaters here regionally where like hundreds of plays are considered, maybe hundreds of actors, and this play got a lot of acclaim, and a lot of the people got awards. I'm not an equity actor, so I wasn't even eligible, but I did get a certificate that made me proud for outstanding performance in this role. And as side note with the mental health things, I always like to tell folks to try things you haven't done before, because when you do them and you succeed, then you're confident you can do other things even before you try them. And so that's a side benefit, but regardless, it was a beautiful experience. I met a lot of cool people. We met the people that are in the Netflix special. They came to the play. And the lady in the thumbnail there is the Judy, the one I'm talking. That's us talking. And so, anyways, to get to my point, I saw these analogies, and where Dorotea had cultivated an image of being supportive of the community. She moved into a barrio, and she pretended to be Mexican. Her victims were mostly white. Um, and she would hang out at this place called Joe's Corner. And it was a dive bar. I've gone there with my grandfather. My grandfather worked for Southern Pacific Railroad, and all the railroad workers would go there after work for drinks. And they knew Dorotea. They called her La Doctora. She was known to us. And even though I'm digressing a little bit more, I would say that we lived in the housing projects, and the next barrio over was Southside Park. And the next barrio over to that was Centro, which is the barrio that Dorotea operated in. And then next to them was either Broderick one way or Northgate the other way, Gardenland, and then Northside. And the point of that is to say that, there was just this wide swath of the city where it was all Mexican people. And in the video, you'll hear that that's where the homeless shelters are. And they'll say that's where the homeless shelters are, and that's where they were. But they're not there no more. Let's get this straight. They're being moved out to what is still black and brown, because those houses there might go for as high as $1 million and $2 million. It's not the same. But at the time, this was in the community because it was a Mexican community. And Dorotea was able to prey on them, folks that she did, again, mostly white, because they were marginalized. They didn't have families. No one was looking out for them. And in the meantime, Dorotea was making political donations. She was going to political fundraisers. She was providing burritos to the barrio. Everybody loved her. Everybody thought she was helping the community and for the people. And she was doing it with the money she was stealing from the people she killed. And whether they be alcoholics on SSI, it's not our place to determine this life is worth taking. And because it's so meaningless. All human lives should have the same value. But anyways, that part of town is where I was from, because we lived in the projects, and we all kind of went to a church called Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so that was part of my community, and the folks I grew up with, they knew Dorotea as well. Some of the folks in the pictures, one judged a pie eating contest one time. El Muñeco de Oro, who was, he helped Dorotea learn about, how to work the system. He judged the pie eating contest that I won when I was 12. But the point is, when I talk about systemic racism and people say it doesn't exist, it's because I don't think they understand that they are kind of seen like Dorotea's victims. They don't matter as much because they're not visible. They're not in city hall meetings. They're not at board of supervisor meetings. They're not at state level board hearings. They're just invisible. I've been to housing projects, Bayo Vista in Rodeo, where unless someone tells you it's there, you would never ever know. And it's because, they've told me there, because it's just us black people here. So there are these invisible communities. And when you call out the injustice against them, it gets ignored. Bert, social worker, in the play, her bosses were frustrated with her for trying to say that Dorotea was killing people, because Dorotea was a pillar of the community. She had insulated herself with this image of benevolence and kindness and goodness for others, such that it was like a sin to even call her out. And that allowed her to do this. And I know you guys want to think, Raza can overcome anything, and we're strong and all that, and we are. But we shouldn't have to overcome things that other people don't, because they're maybe fairer than us or wealthier than us. And so check out the show. It's the #1 show. It's a pretty good story. And then just kind of as an extra tidbit, I believe there were 3 serial killers at the time in Sacramento. Um, by the time of Dorotea, we had already moved to what is now, for realtor purposes, because it's gentrified phenomenally, North Oak Park. And there was a serial killer there as well, a black guy who was a handyman. But society just didn't think that was a big deal, a black man killing prostitutes. And so Dorotea kind of just took all his thunder, because it was the white little grandma, which is a lot, which is less common, which is much less common. You don't see a lot of people like her, and I think that is part of her notoriety. But when you watch the video, just please listen to it with the framework of what I've been saying about systemic racism. At the end, these are words from law enforcement. It was just about the power. She was insulated because she donated to all these campaigns, and that's how stuff happens to us. There's people on the right thinking they're standing up, people on the left thinking they're standing up, but the truth is, you're just part of 2 different herds. You got to think for yourselves, look at things, and not be afraid to call them out when they're wrong. Otherwise, you might as well be a cow. You just want to be warm and eat. And with that, I hope you have a good day. Bless you.